you were to ask me, what would be one thing that has changed my life? I can tell you with 100% certainty, spirituality. Spirituality has changed everything that I know about myself, about life, about how I move through the world, and that's the topic of today's episode. Hi friends, welcome back to Built to Grow. This podcast is all about personal and professional development. My name is Valdet Selimaj. I'm a learning development consultant, and I'm founder of DevCore Consulting. Today's topic is going to cover both personal and professional development because it covers spirituality. But we're going to talk a lot about spirituality and what it is and what it means. And there's a lot of different definitions. People define spirituality in many different ways, and it's practiced in many different ways. So there's never really like a clear-cut answer. But I want to give some thoughts on a definition that is applicable to just about everybody. Spirituality it's the belief in something bigger than ourselves. So it's going outside of us and really think about what's outside of us. Things are so much bigger than us, and connecting to that bigger picture, to the idea of something bigger than ourselves. Now, that looks different for everyone, but it's not just external. Spiritual is also going inside. It is deepening your understanding of your sense of self. It is deepening your understanding of your thinking patterns, your emotional patterns, your behavioral patterns. How do you think? How do you feel? How do you react? How do you show up? What do you say? What do you do? All of that is tied into spirituality. Because when you look at ourselves, when you look at us as humans, there's parts of us that we know, but there's a lot that we don't know about ourselves. And what spirituality does is it allows you to unlock the unknown parts of yourself that you may not currently have access to as we function into the day-to-day life, day-to-day world, getting up, getting ready for work, taking care of the kids, taking care of the pets, taking care of the house, the apartment, driving to work, commuting to work, doing tasks. We spend so much time doing, not as much time reflecting. And spirituality, when we look inward, we can really learn a lot about ourselves and how we experience the world, how we experience other people, how we experience relationships, and how do those things experience us. Anything that unlocks a part of yourself could be considered a spiritual experience. I always say love is a spiritual experience. It will change how you experience a person, people, and life. Anything that's professional development. I went through a leadership development program that I was certified in, and I called that one of the most spiritual experiences of my life because I learned so much from this leadership development program that it changed everything for me. Personal growth can also be a spiritual experience. You could learn something new about yourself, a skill or a thinking pattern, or make a connection to a childhood experience. That's a spiritual experience that can unlock parts of yourself that were otherwise unlocked. And another concept that people may not realize, conflict can actually be a very spiritual experience. When you have an emotional conflict with someone, you can learn a lot about yourself. And that can also be a very spiritual experience. It could be in the workplace, it could be in your personal life, but that is all part of spirituality. It's learning more about yourself and deepening your understanding of yourself. Now, it's interesting to note that in the United States, we tend to be a very individualistic society, which is we're more focused on ourselves, than we are in like some other Eastern cultures would be more we, the collective concept. And I believe that if we just had a little bit more of a we mentality, if we said we and we looked at each other as we're all connected, we're all global citizens on this earth, we're all human beings, we have needs and wants. And if we all remembered that we're way more connected and alike than we are different, I truly believe that this country might be in a better state than it is now. You'll also find that your personal lives and your professional lives would also be exponentially better if we had a reminder that we were connected and that we're all just trying to experience life, jobs, family, reality together. We're all going through it together. So there's that we mentality. That's also a really important part of spirituality in the workplace, at home, in your personal life, that we part. Now, this isn't just like thoughts. Positive psychology has done a lot of research on this, and spirituality has been shown to positively and greatly impact our mental health and our overall life and well-being. It helps us actually flourish as human beings. We are naturally spiritual creatures. Since the dawn of humanity, we have always believed in something bigger than ourselves, and there's actually parts of our brain that are associated with spirituality. So there's always been the belief. Some people call it God or the universe, source, the divine, humanism. But for a lot of us, there is an inherent characteristic of humans that we are spiritual, and it does contribute positively to our lives and our relationships, internally, externally. There is a lot to be said about spirituality to help us navigate life and to flourish as an individual, but also as a society. Spirituality in personal and romantic relationships allows you to show up in that we mindset, and you will see your personal relationships improve when you remember that you and that person, or you and your family, depending on the family, of course, are connected. You are all connected. You're all part of the same experience. I mean, everyone has their own reality, but we're all on this earth together. And you will see just when you start to think about somebody else as you are connected to them, it humanizes them. It allows you to see them. It allows you maybe to better communicate so you can better understand each other. But it's that we mentality, not the I mentality. And then professionally, because people don't realize spirituality very much belongs in the workplace as well, but not in the way that you think. Professionally, because when you think about spirituality is also tied to purpose, values, and purpose is often what drives us and motivates us. In the professional space, we can find meaningful work, or we can find our work to be meaningful so that we are connected to it. We care about it. We can find our purpose in the work when we have meaning behind the work. Now, there are some people who may know their purpose and find the work that aligns with their purpose, but there's also some people who do the work and find their purpose through the work. I'm the latter group. I didn't even know my purpose until I did the work that I did for a long time, and that's where I really found my calling. I found my purpose. I found what moves me, what drives me, and even now, that purpose is what drives me to start my own business, because I know what I'm being called to do. But I didn't know that until I actually did it. So there's something to be said about trying new things, putting yourself out there, because you may find your purpose that way. No, this will be clear. Purpose doesn't have to be like this universe-shattering concept. You don't have to be like the next Taylor Swift or Leonardo da Vinci. Purpose is just finding what moves you. What are you called to do? And purpose could be getting through the day, it could be getting through the week, it could be whatever moves you. But in the professional space, there's a lot of people. I've worked in the personal development and professional development space for a long time. And there are plenty of people who are doing work that they're not connected to. And there are plenty of people who have also left those jobs to find the work they're connected to. People who leave corporate America to go open up a bar. Or people who leave a bar to go start working in corporate America because they found their purpose. But the point is, spirituality just lets you think about those things and move in a way that maybe you can find your purpose and find meaning in the work that you do. When we have spirituality in the workplace, when you have your purpose in the workplace, that leads to better performance. When you find your purpose, you perform better, you do better because you find meaning in that work. Spiritual well-being also allows you to show up authentically because you'll have your values, your beliefs, your purpose. You'll show up in the way that serves you and who you want to be and who you want to become. That doesn't mean you step over anybody else or you're better than anybody else. But when you know what you're about and you know what your purpose is, you become unstoppable, which also allows you to become more resilient because when you know what your purpose is, it actually lets you avoid getting burned out at work, doing work that doesn't have meaning to you. When you find meaning in your work, you will then accept what serves your purpose and you will release what does not serve your purpose. And that could mean finding a new position. It could be saying no to certain projects. It could be talking to your leader about what you want to do. But that prevents the burnout because you've given yourself a North Star. You're giving yourself a direction. So what are some ways to become spiritual? And again, spirituality is very different for everyone. Your version of spirituality is unique to you, just like mine is unique to me. I have found different schools of spirituality that have served me. In the beginning of my journey, I found Stoicism. So it's the Greek philosophy of just living within nature. There are some values that allow you to just navigate the world. So you make decisions that help you flourish. Over time, my spirituality deepened and I found Buddhism. And so I practice Buddhism regularly. It's still a work in progress, like everything else, but it's something that's helped me think about how I think, how I feel, what moves me, what actions, should I be taking that serve me? What should I stop doing that doesn't serve me? But those are just some things, but you can use anything to help you be spiritual. You can just meditate, or you can reflect, you can pray, you can just sit with your thoughts, focus on your breath. You can journal. Just journaling alone, when you write, it activates the prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is our logic and reasoning. And even if you just go home every day after work, or if you start the morning and you just journal what's on your mind, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, just doing that and then activating that part of the brain actually will turn on your logic and reasoning, and you will reflect and think about the things you wrote in a different way. And you may gain some new awareness about what you're feeling or what you're experiencing. You might even see it in a different light. That in itself can be a spiritual experience. It also might tell you like, oh, you know what? This doesn't serve me. Or wait, there's something here. I could do more of this. You could also find community, find people who share interests that you do, or trying to maybe make new friends or join groups. There's other, sports groups or any groups that are in your neighborhood, your area. Talk to friends, meet friends of friends, because when we create community, remember, humans are social creatures and we learn from one another. And by diversifying your circle of people and expanding it, you will learn different perspectives. You will learn different ways of doing things. People will see in you some things that you don't see in yourself. And when they talk to you about it, that raises your awareness. That is spiritual because you're learning about yourself. There's also, things like exercise. Yoga is a wonderful, wonderful way to just mind, body, and soul, just get comfortable and familiar and really deepen your spiritual practices. And yoga's for everyone. It's stretching. I know there's a spiritual side to it that some people don't like, but you can just stretch. But if you like the spiritual side, do yoga. And there's also other meditative practices. You can go for a walk, do mindful walking, count your footsteps, listen to the sounds of nature, go into nature. Nature has been shown to positively impact our spiritual practices because when you are in tune with nature, you're getting in tune with the earth. And I know it sounds woo-woo for some of you. If you had met me a couple years ago, I would have told you that you were lying if I told you that I was going to be talking about nature or other more woo-woo things. But the more my spirituality deepened and the more like higher ed taught me to think differently, I saw those things in a different light and they've all positively impacted me. So finding mindful practices, journaling, thinking about what your why is, what moves you. Think about who you want to be. That's another thing. Where you are today, but who do you want to be tomorrow? And what are some things that can move you to becoming that person? That could be your purpose. That could be the thing that makes you decide, well, if I want to become this person, if I want to succeed in this, or I want to get promoted in this, or I want to be a better this, or I want to be more effective this, that's goal, that's purpose. Then you decide what serves your vision for yourself and what doesn't. What values do you need to live by? What behaviors are appropriate to create that version of you that you want to become? That is also spiritual. And that's something you can do daily. You can think about it daily. You can journal. Like I said, you can talk to a friend, build your community, talk to people in the community, but you have options. Okay. So I'm curious to know from you in the comments, what are some things you do to deepen your spiritual practices or to practice spirituality? What works for you? What tips do you have for others? Comment below. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out.